So everyone, welcome. I want to welcome you guys to my podcast. And I want to just remind you that the reason that you're listening to this, I hope, is because you know that we are providing you something that you're not going to hear in other ways. You're not going to hear it in the veterinary exam room. You're not going to read about it, on the mainstream media, even on social media, because we're trying to bring to you a different way of seeing things, a new way of seeing things. And so that's why I'm so excited to have Dr. Jean with us today. So Dr. Jean she is one of the experts in so many fields. And I actually belong to your Substack, Jean. So I'm always getting like bird flu updates and, commercial food updates and just all of your amazing knowledge. And what a lot of people don't realize is that Jean is also working with AAFCO. So we're going to talk about that first, and then we're going to get into the whole dynamic about kitties, because kitties kind of sometimes get more or less left out of the conversation. So I want to put them right in the middle of the conversation. Anyway, Dr. Jean, do you want to just start us out? Just give us a little background about yourself.
Okay.
You want people to know.
I'm Dr. Jean Hofve. Rhymes with Bon Jovi because it's not going to make sense to you when you see it online. I was born and raised in Oakland, California. I went to the University of Colorado. I fell in love with Colorado University. And I went right into holistic medicine because I took a weekend seminar on homeopathy, and eyes wide open. Oh my God, that was so transformative. I mean, it made senior year very difficult because then I kept asking, like, well, what do you feed your dog? Because that was not one of the questions we were supposed to ask. And I started asking about nutrition and all that stuff. And it was like, I went right into a holistic cat practice and mostly did cats for my career. I developed a health issue after, fairly young. Well, I was 40 when I graduated. I was 50 when I went into heart failure. That's a long story, but 22 years later, thanks to, integrative medicine, I am doing better than ever. And I really, I am getting up there, and I want to share what I know, because don't die with the music still inside you is really what we want to say. And there's so much that we need to know and shift our perspective. So, but let's start with the nuts and bolts, which is AAFCO, which is the American Association of Feed Control Officials. What the heck is that? You see it on every can or bag of cat food, every treat, everything. They make the model regulations, the nutritional standards, the enforcement standards, and all kind of stuff that apply to pet food. Animal feed in general, too. So it applies to cows and sheep and goats and chickens and quail and everything else. But they promulgate these model regulations, and then the states adopt them. Not all states have adopted them, but if enough states do, then the big pet food companies, if they want to ship across state lines, they all really have to conform with those standards. People have a lot of misconceptions about AAFCO. These guys are farm boys that grew up, went to work for the Department of Agriculture, and volunteered to do all this AAFCO work on the side in addition to their day job. They're really, really, really good people, and they're honest, and they want to do their best.
And AAFCO is a nonprofit too, right, Jean?
It's a nonprofit, of course.
Yeah,
It's just and they work really hard, and they update this massive book every year. They really do good work. The problem with AAFCO that everybody perceives, and is absolutely true, is the industry influence. So only AAFCO, the state guys, and the FDA and the USDA, which never shows up, only they can actually vote on changing the rules. But they have advisors on all the committees, and I am on the Pet Food Committee and the Ingredient Definition Committee. And those are the ones that really apply to pet food and are really, really important. But most of the advisors are from industry. They're from the Grain and Feed Association. They're from the National Vendors Association. Advisors have to be from a nonprofit. But again, they have day jobs, and 90% say of the advisors are in industry, and specifically in the pet food industry, because there'll be a big table. There'll be 40 of us, advisors and committee members at the table. A great many of them work for Purina, Hills, Mars, suppliers like Cargill, but they all represent the Pet Food Institute, which is really the player in this program. PFI is the reason everybody hates AAFCO. But just go ahead and hate PFI straight up and respect AAFCO. But PFI represents the interests of the pet food industry. It is a lobbying organization. They're in Washington, D.C., and they want to protect the profits of their members. So they lobby against anything that AAFCO does or tries to do. For instance, put the calorie content statement on pet foods, change the wording of the copper label, which failed because there's a big problem with copper.
Yeah.
There's when new nutritional standards, the nutrient profiles were published, they're based on the National Research Council, NRC, and other research that, they put together an expert committee, and these guys really do know what they're doing. And I know them well. I've known them for 30 years. They're great people, but there's also, and those people are just pure science. So they put out the new standards, and then PFI says, "Oh, we don't want that to change," and that because changes cost their members money. If a big pet food company has to change their formulation or change their label, that costs them money. That reduces their profits. Anything that increases consumer awareness, they lobby against. They have just been horrible about
So
this.
can you give us an example of something that the consumers should know about their pet food, but are not getting to know because that's being restricted by the Pet Food Institute?
Well, they prefer not to change ingredient names like chicken byproduct meal. Who knows what's in that? There's a
Yeah.
definition. There's a definition, but they want to call things like that chicken protein, and corn gluten meal is now corn protein. So they want to disguise the names of ingredients. I was on a committee that it turns out that when you see a buffalo dog food, right? It's probably not what the buffalo that you're thinking. It's a water buffalo.
From another country.
Well, there are now water buffalo farms here, so I'm not going to judge about that.
Mhm.
But, they have a picture of the Tetons with the bison herd in front of it. Well, that's misleading.
I get it.
So I was on the committee, and the industry fought hard against this, but we created a rule that if you say buffalo, you can't just say buffalo. You have to say water buffalo, or you can say bison or North American bison, but you have to distinguish between the species because people don't think of water buffalo as food in this country. And so that's a consumer perception issue that could reduce sales if people knew it was water buffalo in the food. So that's one thing. They didn't want the calorie count on the label because they want to sell more food. If people knew how many calories in it, they're going to feed less. What does that do?
So,
Profits.
yeah. Can we go back real quick to the copper issue? I'm almost thinking we're going to do a second podcast about cats because this is so important.
We could do that. We could do that.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's fine because I could talk about AAFCO for a long time.
Yeah. Well, and I want to because I think I don't know how AAFCO works. So I'm so glad to get an insider's view.
Yeah.
Especially people don't realize, but you've written 2 books and you're advocating for homemade food.
Right. And I explain all of this in my books because I was already deep into this by the time I wrote them.
And people can get your book on Amazon. It's an ebook called Holistic Cat.
Well, there's Holistic Cat Care,
Care.
An illustrated handbook. God knows what editors do with your titles. You never, ever.
Yeah.
Unless you self-publish. So, but that I wrote with a PhD nutritionist, Dr. Celeste Yarnell, who has sadly passed since then, but we worked really hard on that book. And it is a beautiful book. It's full of photographs, but the information is, we're so limited in our word count. Every word counts, but you can get it as I think it's an ebook or it's a Kindle. It's a something on Amazon.
And then you got your new book too.
And then I just updated like last week,
which is awesome.
What cats should eat.
What cats should eat. And I'm guessing it's not from a bag. I'm guessing it's not a processed food from a bag.
Well, right. They should eat a species appropriate diet. Hello.
Yeah. Tell all the carbohydrate, manufacturers and, the Pet Food Institute and all that. Tell them that. But yeah, that's great. I mean, can we go back to the copper issue for just a second and then we'll come back to the cat?
Sure. Because I was on that committee too. The
Okay,
committee
and
was
what is it with so people don't realize a lot of dogs are getting liver disease from excess copper that's coming from commercial pet food, and there's a
right.
whole reason behind that, and maybe you can
There's
lay
a
that.
long story behind that.
Well, I'd like to know the long story.
Okay. It is, I have an article on my website, Little Big Cat, that explains it. Littlebigcat.com. If anybody is old enough to remember the movie Little Big Man, that's where I came up with the name
I didn't
Little
know
Big
where it
Cat
came from. I
because
just thought it was cute.
yeah. And I founded this with Jackson Galaxy, the cat behaviorist, and
Yes,
he was okay with that name. We went through thousands of names, but
it's a
he
great name.
liked it because there's a big cat in every little
I
cat.
know. I can totally see that.
And I just love the way it sounds because Little Big Man was like a transformative movie. I spent 2 summers on the Nez Perce Reservation in Idaho, so I have a very deep connection with the Native Americans, and I really love that movie. So anyway, besides that, copper is a funny issue. There was a study, not a good study, but it was published and it said copper oxide is not well absorbed by dogs and cats. Well, copper oxide was the primary copper supplement in all pet foods at the time. This was, I
1990.
forget, in the 90s, maybe. It was a
Mhm.
long time ago. Yeah. And so they all changed to different forms of copper. And currently, about 10 or 15 years ago, chelated minerals became the thing. So everybody's using chelated copper and chelated
Is it
magnesium.
cheaper to do that?
No, it's more expensive, but they cannot use copper oxide. So that's the next best. And in order to get the consumer perception value and get the copper in, that's what they did. Well, the other thing that happened around the same time is that consumers started to become aware of the byproducts, the term byproducts. So if there was byproduct meal, meat and bone meal, consumers didn't like that so much. So the companies that can afford to do it. For instance, I shouldn't name names, but there's a company in Topeka, Kansas, one of whose representatives gave the only 2-hour lecture on pet food that I got in 4 years of vet school. And so they put on their bags liver, kidney, heart, muscle, this skeletal, whatever. They buy specific byproducts. And they do buy specific, they don't just buy a batch of byproducts, which is really not a great thing. But it's not non-nutritious. I mean, if a cat catches a bird, it's gonna eat the whole bird,
Hmm.
right? Gonna puke up the toes, by the way. That's a bad thing. Don't let them eat birds.
They
And
could
with
get bird fever and
and
all
with
kinds of
bird flu
diseases.
going around is wild birds that carry it, and that's where cats are getting it. So, but so now we have a whole lot of liver going into pet food because liver is now perceived as a higher value, though not more expensive product to put into pet food. So now we have a ton of copper
Mm-hmm.
that's stored in the liver. So we have an increase in the bioavailability of the copper that they're putting in,
It's like
and
copper sulfate or something, isn't
it's
it?
usually a protein chelate. It doesn't really matter what it is,
Okay.
but it'll be like copper proteinate and zinc proteinate. And that's fine. Those are great. They're bioavailable, fabulous. But now we have also an excess of copper coming in through the ingredients, the liver. So now we have many, many, many times more copper than the requirement. Well, they already considered putting a cap on copper. Well, that didn't fly. So I was on the committee that proposed for pet food companies to be able to label their foods limited or controlled. I think controlled copper was the claim. And it was perceived by all the nutritionists and veterinarians on the committee voted for that. All the industry people on the committee, because it would cost to change the labels. It would give an advantage to companies who actually were putting lower copper in and being very careful about, because there's many sources of copper. They add it here and it's in that, and it adds up is the problem. Dogs are getting copper storage diseases, which used to be limited to a couple of
I
breeds
think.
that were prone to it. Now, I'm here in Denver. I'm staying with a friend, and she is seeing elevated liver enzymes in a lot of dogs,
Yeah,
asymptomatic
it's a
dogs.
big problem.
And when she has sent off biopsies, they come back copper storage. So the specialists are finding this. And so, but the industry didn't want it.
They're
So,
basically throwing these pets under the bus. I mean, just to
right,
for their own
because
profit.
they're not going to change the formulations to roll back the copper, and they don't want to
Mhm.
give a competitive marketing advantage to companies who are doing it right.
Mhm.
So we won. The nutritionists won the vote in the committee. We took it to the full AAFCO voting membership,
Mhm.
and industry had more people speaking up against it. They spoke louder. They spoke, they make up claims. The claims say, oh, well, this is going to cause something. And then we don't really have the science to cap it. And we don't, and, and we lost the vote. So they did not change
I
anything.
wonder how about getting those industry people out of AAFCO?
Not going to happen. That's the way it's structured.
I mean, like,
Because they're
it's a
they're
problem.
advisors. They're advisors, which
Okay.
is why it's so important for me to stay an advisor,
Yes.
because there's only 3 or 4 of us that attend the meetings, or right now I'm not even able to attend the meetings, but I can still comment on things, and I can be involved. And
And what if somebody like a veterinarian, a holistic veterinarian is listening to this and says, "I want to get involved." Can you do remote or virtual AAFCO
well, you
meetings?
can listen to the meetings for free
Mm,
online. You just go to the AFCO.org, look
mm,
at the events tab, click
mm,
on that, look for right now, this is the mid-year meeting that went on this week. It's the January meeting.
interesting.
Then the main meeting is in August, but you can listen in, but you can't comment.
But like, could a veterinarian join the group?
No, you
Or
have to represent a nonprofit
you
organization,
have to represent a nonprofit? Okay.
and the nonprofit has to petition for you to have a seat
Okay.
on the
Okay.
committees. I got a job in 1999 that had that position. And
Okay.
so we just wrote to AFCO and said, oh, Jean is our new
Mhm.
representative that we'll be sending to the meetings.
Okay.
And I went to the meetings, and I learned that AFCO wasn't the boogeyman. They're not paid off by the pet food industry, but they are influenced because they're
Sounds
lobbyists.
like
And
heavily
lobbyists
influenced.
they take them out to dinner. They say, meet them at the bar. They do.
It's a whole
But
thing.
hey, I went to the bar with them too. And I got to be really good friends
I think
with a
that's
lot
funny
of
to
them.
think of you at the bar.
We'd me and Dave would go have
You guys are
beer.
party animals.
Oh, you should have seen the FDA guy when he got a couple beers in. This is the most straight-laced, uptight person in the whole wide world. Spoke like a professor. You get a beer into him. Funny as
That's what
all
we need
get
to
out.
do. We just need to get all the AFCO guys drunk
Yeah,
and
we
then
need
have
to
them
have a
change their
beer lunch.
okay. That's
But,
cool.
they try really hard, but the industry influence is undeniable.
Okay.
And that's
So then
why
we're not gonna get
I stay
AFCO.
involved, and we're not gonna change
We're
AFCO.
not gonna change AFCO.
So
Could the
we have to educate. We
yeah.
have to know what's going on.
Okay. Well, I was gonna ask you along the AFCO lines, I have so many questions, so, maybe we'll see. But anyway,
We can keep talking about this. We can do cats another day.
okay, or we
I
could
just wanna I just
if we have a good connection now, which I think we do, maybe we could just
Yeah.
keep going into the cats, like,
Oh,
and
yeah, we can
separate,
talk
like, I can
forever.
separate
I've got
them.
all day.
Okay, you're so
Let me
sweet.
take
I
a
might
little, let me
yeah,
grab
take a break if you need it, but,
Algae.
I was just gonna ask you about the carbohydrate and protein level in commercial pet food and how AFCO got to that, because that is probably the number one disagreement that holistic vets have
Yeah, but the
generally.
AFCO doesn't have anything to say about that.
Does AFCO not give a protein recommendation?
It gives amino acid recommendations,
Okay.
minimum amino acids.
Does it
There's
break
no
down
limit on and minimum fatty acids. Those are all regulated for sure.
okay, but the carbohydrate level?
Not regulated. Those are all voluntarily. Those they call that. Well, let's go back and ask that question again so we can get it
Yeah.
clean.
The question is that there's a disagreement amongst veterinarians about how much protein an animal needs versus carbohydrates. Many of us, as soon as there's like a cancer diagnosis or an allergy diagnosis, we're kind of trying to limit the carbohydrate source, put those dogs on a homemade diet or a raw diet and they get improvement. So, but in the commercial pet food institute and, all of the basically board certified nutritionists are always like, no, they need a high carbohydrate load, especially grains. They always want those grains in there. And so I didn't know if AFCO weighed in, especially with the DCM, the FDA's disagreement or sort of
Well, they took care of the DCM issue in cats in the 80s.
right. And then we got it in the dogs
Right.
recently.
Yeah. And AFCO is not going to change those nutrient profiles because it takes years.
Mm,
Literally, it takes years because they have to put on the expert committee. Those guys are mostly retired now.
mm.
And it's a lot of work to ask people to do voluntarily. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah. I mean, it
And
doesn't seem like
and
it
they
should
were
much.
they were just revised, even though they were 13 years out of date the day they were published in the AAFCO profiles. 13 years.
Whoa.
Because NRC published theirs in the committee, and then I think they were ready in 2009, 8 or 9, and then PFI came in and lobbied against it for years and pushed back the publication and pushed it back and pushed it back and pushed it back.
Mm.
So they were incredibly out of date already by the time they were published
And you're
because
talking about the taurine standards for cats, or are you talking
dog
about
too. Cat expert committee and a dog expert committee. And I
interesting.
know these guys, these are serious scientists. They're absolutely,
Hmm.
they're board certified nutritionists and they work their butts off. They did.
But then their results got into the standards 13 years later?
From the day they were proposed, yes.
My gosh, we've got a
Right.
serious
And
lag
of
time
course
issue.
and of course, the NRC standards, by the time they get into the NRC book, they've already been kicked around for a number of years. The research, I mean, they're way better than the previous standards, which, because they were published in the 80s, they were based on nutritional research, because there wasn't very much in cats, in chickens and sheep and
Mm,
cows and dogs. There was a
mhm.
lot of research in dogs, very little in cats. I think there were maybe 2 or 3 adult cat studies that the
Wow,
entire NRC was based on. And I think no kittens I mean, it was a disaster. So
interesting.
I'm good with the standards as they are now. And here's the thing, the standards are what they are. And you can make a food, and this is the old boot dog food, remember? That you could take an old boot and grind it up, add some used motor oil and a multivitamin,
And some wood
grind it up, and it would meet AAFCO standards.
I know.
You know
That was in
who's
Dr. Pitcairn's book.
Well,
Yeah.
do you know who said that first? The
No.
guy who founded Hill's Pet Nutrition, Mark Morris. He's the one
Wow.
who said that. So there are books and there are other standards and stuff. And the thing about the pet food companies is they want to make a profit. If you're a corporation in the United States, the law is that shareholders come first. You are obligated to make profit for your shareholders.
Mm.
The people who buy your product, they're a secondary concern. Now, there's a lot of consumer pressure on AAFCO, so that's all good. They do pay attention to TikTok and Facebook and whatever. When people post stuff about pet food, they pay attention to that. They
Mhm.
paid attention to the taurine thing. And I think a lot of a lot of them are now voluntarily adding some taurine
Yeah,
to dog food because it's cheap.
that's
It's a
crazy.
selling point
Mhm.
and it may actually help the dogs. Wouldn't that be a bonus?
Yeah.
Because that's not the
And I
number
mean,
one.
I guess historically, we've always taurine wasn't an essential amino acid for dogs. It was always they assumed or they could derive it from they could synthesize it from cysteine and
And
methionine.
methionine.
And
Yeah,
those are 2 other sulfur-containing amino acids, but
correct.
then recently here, they've somehow needed more of it, and I have my own theories about that, but at any rate, that's off topic.
Well, yeah, and I have theories about it too
Yeah,
because I
okay, we'll
know
have to
for it.
compare theories someday.
Yeah, I know for a fact why it happened in the 80s to cats, and it
Okay.
was because they started substituting more and more plant protein
Mm,
materials for animal protein
interesting.
materials, and more byproducts which don't have taurine
Right.
for meat. There was
Heart
there
has
so there was an
taurine.
absolute deficiency of taurine in the food that
Mhm.
had been there naturally before. It's never been required. Where
Well, and
never
then when
was.
they process it, at any rate, it does destroy some of the
No, it does
taurine.
not. No, no.
Okay, well, in my research, it does, so I don't know, but,
No,
like,
well, I talked
eating
to
it, cooking it.
I had lunch with the guy at
Well,
UC
I think
Davis
when
who
they add it
discovered it.
well, I think when they add it
Here's You wanna know the facts?
yeah, go ahead.
Because what you read on the internet is not the facts.
Yeah.
Taurine is a base amino acid. It cannot be destroyed by heat. It can be made biounavailable
Okay, well,
in
that's what
some ways,
to me, that's,
but
like, the same.
But what the problem actually was, is when they stopped putting meat in, then there was not enough to satisfy the
Yeah,
bacteria in the colon who were eating it all.
interesting.
And that's
Cool.
why it wasn't bioavailable. It wasn't the processing. It wasn't anything, although the way it's processed does make a difference in how tasty it is to the bacteria, to the
Mhm,
microbiome. But the
mhm.
microbiome was taking it all. Taurine is used in bile acids used to break down fat, to digest fat.
It
It
has
goes
it's so
down in the
useful.
colon and it's reabsorbed and reused. Taurine is extremely valuable, and cats are really good at this. But if the bacteria got to it first, there was nothing left for the cat, and that is why they got a deficiency.
And then, I mean, it should be stated that if they ate a mouse, there would be no deficiency because
Correct.
there's a lot of reasons.
Taurine is really an interesting amino acid. It's the only non-structural amino acid. Most of them are used to build proteins.
Mhm.
Taurine floats free, and it is used then in the bile acids and stuff, but it's not in the cells, it's in the blood. What's
Okay.
the first thing they do to a slaughtered animal? They hang it up, they drain all the blood.
Okay. Interesting.
So there is residual taurine in the muscle and the heart and the
Yeah,
diaphragm and the thing. And when they were using all those parts, that worked. There was enough. But when they started putting plant proteins then and
that
cutting
makes
out
sense.
animal proteins, then that was the problem.
Poor
So of
cats.
course they didn't change. They didn't put the animal proteins back. They just added taurine.
No, they just add the synthesized taurine. I know
Right.
that's
So now the problem with the dogs is they do synthesize their own, and mostly they're efficient at it, and they produce a sufficient amount.
hmm
But it turns out that Newfoundlands and the giant breed dogs,
hmm
they're much slower at that conversion.
hmm
And it turns out that there's a lot of plant products in dog food too. And they are somewhat dependent on the taurine in that. Some dogs will become deficient. Now, it's, I still, for the DCM, which dilated cardiomyopathy for
Yeah.
people who, which is what I have, by the way. I have dilated
Oh my
cardiomyopathy.
gosh.
So I know a lot about dilated cardiomyopathy.
Do you take taurine?
I do. Yeah,
How
yeah.
many milligrams does a human take?
Well, I'm a low carb eater, so I eat a lot of meat.
Okay.
So I'm good, but I take additional taurine. I think it's 500 milligrams a day.
Okay.
A cat needs about 80 to 100 milligrams a day from rung. I mean,
hmm
and so when people are making cat food, I say just count on putting 100 milligrams a day in
Okay.
the food.
And I put more than that. And I guess I should
Yeah,
say that there's really no
it
side effects to
there's
taurine.
no side effects.
Yeah.
There's no upper limit. It
Yeah.
can't hurt
Might
you.
as well do more. Yeah.
Might as if it doesn't hurt your pocketbook, just go ahead and add
Yeah.
the and
Taurine's
and
really
I just
important for
right,
calcium
and it
channels,
doesn't right, and
muscle.
it doesn't, uh you can't overdose it.
hmm
It doesn't taste bad. It's a little salty. I taste everything before I put it in in my homemade
Oh, that's a good
lysine.
idea, Jean.
Lysine also is a little bit salty, so it's not a taste cats object to. A lot of things, they're like, "B
Forget
vitamins?
it.
Are you kidding me?" But they gotta have them. I'm
I love
sorry.
Yeah, I know, and that's the sneaky
Um,
part to get it
but
them to eat with
yeah, and I have a recipe in my ebook that I am not satisfied with, and I'm not claiming it's complete and balanced. I know it can be deficient in choline and vitamin K depending on what you're feeding. But if you're feeding a variety and you're doing the supplementation that I tell you to do, you're gonna be fine.
Okay.
Gonna be fine.
Well, and that's the
Um,
thing. Maybe they
you
shouldn't
know.
be on the same thing every single day, you know?
Well, that's right. Variety is incredibly important because
They they would never they're scavengers or they're hunters, they would never eat the same thing every single day.
right, a house cat doesn't decide one day, "I think I will eat only purple finches."
Good thing for the purple
Mice?
finches.
Oh no, no mice. Perhaps a vole once a week. No, they don't do that. They eat what they
I mean,
catch.
now a lot of the cats are like carb junkies, right? I mean, they are
Well,
like
that's the thing.
addicts
That's the
to
thing.
Do
And the
you have
problem
any
with the
knowledge
absolute
do you have
oh,
any
go ahead and
knowledge about
ask.
this?
Go ahead and ask so I can incorporate.
Okay. Do you have any knowledge about like is the industry doing anything to like reduce the amount of carbohydrates? I know they make money on the carbohydrates, but the cats become so addicted to these carbohydrates that they then have trouble going to like a more sort of a wilder food or a
I
healthier
know. And
food.
then guess what happens to the industry?
I don't
They
know.
make more money on the food that's the cheapest to make, which is kibble.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I
They are not motivated.
okay.
Some products are putting higher protein and lower carbs
Okay.
because A, they believe it's the right thing to do, and B, they can make enough money doing it, and they're trying to do the right thing. There are companies out there, but they do not have, they don't advertise on TV, and they don't
Yeah.
and veterinary school chairs.
Can we say some of those companies that you would recommend, or do you want to watch?
There
Okay, gotta get or your Substack, right? You have an amazing Substack.
I do have it's littlebigcat.com, and I have been very good about writing it monthly, except for, I
That's okay.
I think it was some month just went by, and it was like It's what
Well,
it's
I'm
the
supposed to be
first of
doing these
what.
every week, but I'm doing like sometimes twice a week or not.
Yeah, and if
Really
there's an urgent issue like a recall or some big thing comes up that I think people need to know right this second, I'll put out a,
Yeah,
interim,
that's great.
and
I
I'm
love
trying
your
to do
Substack.
I'm trying to do the first week of each month for paid members because Substack is free,
Okay,
but
but
you
I
can
I
you
like I
can you
did my
can paid membership, it's like $5.
very reasonable.
Yeah, and then you get to ask me questions. So I
Mm,
have Ask Dr. Jean the first week of the month. I might change up the format of that and say paid members can ask me anything anytime. That's fine. I'm specifically sending out the notice to paid members,
mhm.
and that's, because I would spend my whole life answering questions, which I love to do.
I know you're so good at
I
it.
have a life. I have a life. I'm trying to have a
What?
life. And my life is, I'm a nomad. So
I
I don't
know you're
always have
so
internet.
you're like the spirit journeyist. Your journey, you go.
Here's what happened. I got evicted.
Oh yeah, that's you told me that. You said
I
I got
got
evicted.
evicted, and I
You turned
always
it
wanted to
into
be a
an
nomad.
amazing journey.
I wanted to be a nomad anyways, just like, "Can I live in a Subaru?" "Well, yes, yes, I can." And I'm having the
I've met your
best
Subaru.
time.
Wait, what's your Subaru? Floyd?
Howie. Howie
Howie.
Howie Long. Remember I said I was born in Oakland? I'm a Raider fan. It's a birth defect. I was born there. So Howie Long was a
Was he a football player?
was on the Raiders,
Oh,
number
oh, I'm a Raider.
75. Anyway, and he's a great guy. And I named my car Howie Long,
Oh, I love it. I
which is better
love
than my previous car, which is named, well, had a cat named Marcus Allen and a car named Lyle Alzado. But Howie Long he's a very friendly, very knowledgeable, intelligent guy. So I feel good about calling my car Howie. But I fit perfectly in the back of Howie to sleep on the road. The background here is what I sit in my campsite and watch the sun go down
It's amazing.
uh, for 6 weeks in Arizona, and just
I know,
you know
you're
the
living
angels
life.
sing and the whole thing.
I love
But
that.
let's talk about the carb protein
Oh,
fat
okay, go ahead.
thing. Okay, so carbs are not required. There is no requirement for carbs or fiber
Isn't it amazing? Because it's like 55 to 65% of all kibble. I mean,
in
it's
kibble. Yes,
yeah,
in dogs it's that
even
high.
if it's grain free.
In cats is usually around
Right.
between 30 and 50%. We'll give them a break. We'll give them credit for putting a
And those are
little,
and they make
little.
money on those. That's a money
Right,
making. Mhm.
and they don't because carbs are not an essential ingredient. They call it energy because there is a minimum amount of energy,
Mm,
calories that cats need per day.
mm,
So that's how they get away with it, even though it's not an AAFCO requirement to
mm.
put the carbs in there. But they do because extruded food needs starch to work in the machine. Otherwise, high protein or high fat gums up the machine. They can't make kibble without starch.
Right.
So,
And I mean, they
and
often talk about fiber as it's an excuse to use grains, but I just have
well, then they add
not enough.
fiber because grains don't have squat for fiber.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, when
No,
hear
it's
nutritionists talk about grains, I do hear them talk about fiber, and I'm like,
yes,
okay,
and fiber is not an essential nutrient either.
mm,
And guess what? It's not essential for cats or dogs or humans or frankly any animal.
carbohydrate.
No, no mammal requires carbohydrates. Extract carbohydrates from the grass and the grain and whatever. Who actually makes the protein?
Mm,
The microbiome.
mm.
They're the ones who extract the nutrition and ferment the carbs and produce energy and vitamins and things like
Wow,
that.
if it wasn't for the microbiome, then the Pet Food Institute would lose a ton of money, right?
Oh, yeah, which is
Because
why they
that's how
all
they're
are,
able to
you
use
know
it. Otherwise, we wouldn't they'd just be pooping it out. I mean, right?
right, right, they wouldn't be able to
Wow.
use it. They wouldn't be able to use
All
it.
that industry needs to pay the microbiome back,
I know. I
microbiome
don't know if they pat them on the
representative.
heads or whatever, but fiber is the food for the microbiome. So that is why they put it in. And I'm good with that. I mean, feed the microbiome. Bless your little pea picking heart. Yes, feed the microbiome. Give, if you put a little effort into feeding it something that was really good quality, I'd appreciate it a little more. But it is what it is. So, but the African nutrient profiles specify amino acids, not a protein level, fatty acids, not a fat level. But on the label, you see guaranteed analysis, protein, fat, moisture, and protein, fat, voice. Well, whatever it is, because the labels are going to change. And fiber. They guarantee fiber usually. But that's a subset of carbohydrate
Mhm,
because only plants make fiber.
mhm.
So now only plants make fiber. That is a profound thing to know because carnivores don't eat fiber. They get, why do we need any carbs at all? For the glucose to run the metabolism, right? Glucose. And guess what? The body can make all the glucose it needs without eating a single carbohydrate. But carbohydrates are a cheap way to furnish energy, and that's why they're used. You can't say they're filler or non-nutritive because they do provide calories, and that is the basis.
And then maybe we could just briefly just touch on what we think is the problem with having a high carbohydrate diet, especially in cats. But like, what are the medical conditions that we might see?
Oh, don't
There's
get
pretty,
me
there's endless, but I know,
started.
but it's good for the people don't know. This is all new information. Yeah.
Right. Now, the thing about carbohydrates is if you eat too many of them, you eat a carbohydrate, the pancreas releases insulin. Insulin sends some of it to the liver to be converted into glycogen for storage. So that's where carnivores get their carbs because glycogen is technically a carbohydrate. People say, well, a cat eats a mouse and he gets the grains that are in the mouse's stomach. Well, that's no. They get a little glycogen from the muscle meat and the liver. But mainly they make their own glycogen. They make their own glucose. The brain needs glucose, some glucose, but the liver produces plenty of glucose, not a strain at all. You eat enough protein and fat, your body makes the glucose. So, and this is true for humans also. What happens if you have excess carbohydrates is the insulin says, well, the liver's full, the muscles are full. This is not technically, scientifically correct, but it's a shorthand. The other thing insulin is a fat storage hormone. So it sends it sends carbohydrates for processing into triglycerides, which is a protein back or carbohydrate backbone, glyceride backbone, which is built of sugar, 3 fatty acids, triglycerides, and it sends them into the fat cells for storage.
So the animals can be overweight, and we never see,
Right.
I rarely see any raw fed overweight animals. It's
Because they're not getting excess carbohydrate.
Mhm.
Cats are uniquely unable to process carbs. That's not true. They process carbs, they can digest them, they can put them in storage as fat. They cannot use them for energy like we can and dogs can. We can directly use carbs. If you're in the middle of a marathon and you give yourself a sugar shot, you are going to get instant energy from
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
That's gonna boost your blood glucose. Cats do not do that.
So they get
They
all
use
kinds of
protein for energy. And it turns out that all of us also use fat for energy and in the form of ketones, which is why a low carb diet is ketogenic. But the brain runs a lot on ketones. The preferred fuel of the heart is ketones. But when you overload with glucose, everybody but cats uses that instead. And so then you kind of become carb dependent because you're not used to making your own ketones. So there's the calories in, calories out model. 60% of our cats are overweight and 55% of our dogs are overweight.
diseases like diabetes, inflammatory bowel
Diabetes,
disease,
arthritis,
skin
heart disease.
problems.
Absolutely. Obesity is a terrible, terrible problem. And it shortens their lifespan, increases the anesthetic risk if they ever need a dental or a mass removal
It's
or something.
really driving a lot of veterinary medicine for cats.
Yeah. Yeah. And people are like, oh, a raw diet, ew, or even a lightly cooked diet. I'm good with a lightly cooked
Oh,
diet.
I am too.
Given bird flu,
Lightly cooked
given
all
all
the
the
time.
things, that's fine. But make it whole foods, make it real foods.
Yeah.
And the problem is that cats and us, we get type 2 diabetes when we get too overweight. And that whole calories in, calories out. Need 3,500 calories a day. And if you cut your consumption by 3,500 calories a week, you'll lose a pound a week. You ever been on a diet? Does
I
that
mean,
happen?
not really, because I'm not good at it.
You're thin.
I
So,
don't think
but
so.
I think a few of the people watching this are going to say, yeah, I did that. I cut 500 calories a day. That's 3,500 calories a week. And I lost a little weight to begin with, but then I stopped losing weight. And because it's not calories in, calories out. Calories in, calories out come from the fact that a protein has about 4 kilocalories of energy and a carb has about 4 and a fat molecule has about, or fat gram of fat has about 9. That turns out not even to be close to what the facts are,
Mm.
but that's what all our medical paradigms are based on that. And so you cut calories. And the problem with veterinary nutritionists is they are stuck in the calories in, calories out model. And they say, and I have had them say this to my face, and I've had to restrain myself from punching them in the nose because that's not how it works. The body is not a bomb calorimeter. It's the calories in, calories out works with a closed system. This here, not a closed system. We have hormones, we have metabolism. We do not, they say calories or ingredients don't matter, only nutrients matter, and they formulate to the AAFCO profile.
Mm.
Now, let me tell you one little thing about the AAFCO profile. The cats and dogs are a little bit different, but they list about 45, 42, 45, something in that nature, ingredients, broken down nutrients that are, the palmitic acid and cysteine and this and that, taurine. They list those things. If you look up a food in the USDA database, the same food, say chicken leg, it will tell you how much, about 100 nutrients. So we're already missing half of the nutrients that are in
Mhm.
food that are
It's
not in the
not the full
profiles.
picture.
So but when they say ingredients don't matter, nutrients matter, that's how you get old boot,
Right.
leather,
It's the
oil, and a vitamin.
bioavailability that we're looking for.
Right. And
Mhm.
yes, because it's not useful to the body to put in things
Mhm.
that it doesn't metabolize, like for cats, carbohydrates.
Mm.
It metabolizes them great, sticks them straight into fat because
Yeah.
they don't need that many calories, and if you're giving it to them in the form of protein and fat that they can use, they have no need for carbohydrates. They have no use for them. Now, when I make my cat food, I like to use like a jar of Earth's Best sweet potato baby food because they like it. And I mix all the supplements in, put that in. I use a blue-green algae. So it's dark green when I get done with it. Then when I
The
mix
whole
it in the
food is
meat, I
dark
could
green? Wow.
like my little supplement thing, I have the
Oh, you said
oil and the taurine and the thing, and I make it all up. So now I have this dark green mess. But when I mix it into the meat, I can tell when it's evenly distributed because the meat is now green. And I know I did a good job.
love that. Do you think you could kind of talk us through how you do it? Because you're
It's
like,
on my website. It's on my
okay.
website.
Is there a video of it?
I don't because all my cats have now passed. And so I'm not making cat food right now.
Oh,
But
okay.
Kate Solisti, Solisti,
Okay.
she has a video on
Oh
making
yeah, I
cat
think
food.
I saw that. I went to that from your Substack. No, from
Yeah,
your book. From
and
your book.
Dr. Lisa Pearson has
Yeah, Lisa's.
greatly detailed
Oh, Lisa's
catinfo.org.
great. I would love to
Lisa
talk. Do you
Lisa
know Lisa?
I do. I've
I
talked to
would
her
love to
many
talk
times.
to her like this. Do you think she
She's
would talk?
she would,
Okay,
I
because I
think.
don't know how to even contact her anyway. I'll ask you that.
I'll
Like,
I'll get her contact
you
info.
like know everybody. I'm like, oh my gosh,
I've been doing this for 30 years. I do know everybody.
that's
I was the
awesome.
editor of the Holistic Journal for 3 years. I know everybody.
Oh,
Now
awesome.
everybody's retiring and dying off, so I'm losing all
No,
my
we need new ones. Where are the
No,
new young
that's why
veterinarians?
I'm here talking to you is to
Yeah,
train
I
up the
know.
new.
Me too. That's why I'm doing
Hey,
this.
can I just say this just
Say
spark
whatever.
a spark of an idea? I would like to train an apprentice. Somebody call me. I would love to train an apprentice and pass on the information
Oh
to
my
somebody
God,
younger.
we need like 12 of you. How
I
many
would
apprentices can you take?
a couple maybe,
Yeah.
and they'd have to pay
So we're
for
talking
the
about young graduate veterinarians that
yeah.
maybe are just
And
out
I would have to charge for it because, that's a lot of my time, but,
here.
if anybody's interested,
And
I'd
how
be
would that look
happy
for
to
them? Would
work
that
with
be like Zoom classes?
Zooms.
Would it be
I
in
have
person?
written a lot of stuff. You should see my computer. You should see the amount of nutritional studies I have on my computer.
Wow. And I have
Thousands,
some, but I'd love to see.
thousands. I mean, I'll give you a link to my Google Drive
Oh my
so you
God.
can read all the papers. You know, it's like
It's
I would love to work with somebody.
okay,
So
that's good to
the
know, and we'll
angels
get that.
just told me to say that, so maybe this will work.
No,
But
that's great that
anyway,
you said that. I love that.
But yeah, it's not that hard to make the food. It
I
really
mean,
isn't.
I guess that is one thing that we could talk about real quick and anything else too, because we have as much time as you want. But is that so what the new young veterinarians that have all this debt getting out, what do you think about? Because I think they're looking at us and they're going, well, how do you profit? Like, how do you pay your bills and profit off of having this mindset, which is not a conventional, we're going to sell all this
It's
stuff.
very, very hard.
Right. So
This
I
is
think we
not
need to, well, we need to,
veterinary medicine is not a high profit business to start with. Now the corporations are getting involved, and if you work for Banfield or Petco or one of these other, they have a framework of what you can and cannot say, what you can and cannot prescribe, and they want you to sell the food that they sell in the stores, which is through that door, right?
Mhm, mm,
And they'd be really happy to sell you one of the veterinary diets that's
right.
costs 3 times more, even though the ingredients are no different. The proportions are tweaked a little bit. Maybe there's a little more essential fatty acid, maybe there's a little more of that,
Mhm,
but the ingredients are all basically the same.
mhm.
You know, I guess let me just say this. If you I know everybody can't feed a homemade diet. If I got a cat now, I would not be getting a homemade diet
Mm,
because I can barely cook a meal for myself in the desert. Okay. It's difficult. So not everybody has the means. It is expensive to get set up to start.
I think it's
It is
cheaper. I mean,
well, but here's why it's cheaper. Once
mhm,
you get set up and you have a
once you get
process
set
that
up,
you
yeah.
can go, 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 that really takes care of a lot of it. But the reason it's cheaper is because you will save thousands of dollars on veterinary bills
Well, you
down the
will.
road. But people are not future looking, you
Yeah.
know?
I want them to look to the future. I want them
Right. So
to
that's
plan
why we're
for the future.
talking about these are
Mhm,
preventable health problems, and this is why we are creating them. We are
mhm.
creating them. You know, we're creating feline diabetes like crazy. You put them on a keto or a Catkins diet, diabetes goes away. Diabetes is reversible in humans. I mean,
Mhm,
well, not 100%, but if you catch it early,
mhm,
cut out the carbs or drop them dramatically.
mhm.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say you can't have an Oreo ever, can't I eat
I
low
mean,
carb, but there are days when tortilla chips and hummus, that's dinner because 'cause I'm just I've been on the road for 8 hours and I'm exhausted. There are those days. I'm not saying be dogmatic about it. I'm not saying be perfect about it. Canned food is a perfectly reasonable alternative. If we just fed cats low carb canned food, which is
yeah,
the pâtés are lower carb because there's wheat gluten and the nuggets and the slices and the shreds and stuff, those are texturized vegetable protein, what we used to call that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay, that's
it's what we used to eat when we were vegetarians back in the '80s.
I'm still vegetarian. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was, the world's most unhealthy
Oh,
vegetarian,
it
but I'm
takes a
sure it's
lot of work to do it healthy. I've been doing it since the
yeah.
'80s, but
My metabolism does not like it.
yeah, yeah.
It
And
doesn't.
everybody has on their own thing, but
And
for the general rule,
my acupuncturist said, "Girl, go get a steak. You have to have more protein." It's like, okay. I mean, I apologize that I eat as earth friendly and consciously
we
as
do
I
the best we
possibly
can.
can.
Well, going
We
back to
do
the
the best we
cats,
can.
though, I mean,
The
that's just a
cat
no-brainer.
so I eat like a cat. It would be it wouldn't be a big transition. But, I would just cook dinner less for the cat. But,
Fine.
yeah. But
Good.
it's
I wanted to just a quick thing. There's so much I was just attending BMX and there's so much now about cat diabetes. It's like a whole thing now. They have these SGLT2 inhibitors and
right,
which are really
right.
amazing if you can catch the diabetes early. And now they have this new disease that I didn't know about in vet school called acromegaly. It's where the
Yeah.
pituitary is like
It
overproducing growth
secretes growth hormone.
hormone, and
Yeah.
it's like, are we causing that from our diet maybe? I mean, they're not
I
getting
don't
caught.
technically, I don't know,
Yeah,
but when you feed an animal a completely unnatural diet and screw with their entire hormonal metabolism
there you go.
system,
That's what I think.
you're gonna you're
Mhm,
gonna blow something out. You
and
are,
I
you know?
mean, it's
The
so
pituitary
sad.
is involved in, I mean, the insulin, the pancreas is the main gland that is responsible for metabolizing food and dealing with glucose metabolism and ketones and things like that. Most of that's coming from the pancreas, glucagon, and insulin. But you have, ghrelin and leptin and all these other hormones. I mean, it's fascinating. If anybody's interested, look up the carbohydrate insulin model.
Mm.
and that'll tell you everything. It's in my book. I tried to
Mm.
simplify it.
Okay, good.
I tried to create, you know, the difference between the calories in, calories out model and the carb in slim model. The truth lies in between them.
Mm.
But you can't go wrong by cutting the carbs because
Mhm.
cats have no use for carbs. They can't use them.
They're just addicted to them. They're like
Yeah, well, I'm a Frito addict. Put Fritos in front of me, I'm doomed. I am doomed. I'm sorry. I'm done.
That's funny. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Well, no, I
it's
know I have so many cats,
not I'm
like
not a sugar addict, but Fritos, oh my god.
I have so many cats that, like, break into a cupboard to get to the kibble, and it's like, "Why is that in the cupboard?" You know, like, I mean, they'll do anything to get to that bag of kibble when we're trying to share.
Because why? I'll tell you why. Because they're malnourished.
Yeah.
There are things that are not in the kibble that we don't know yet. Remember those other 55 ingredients in the USDA database?
Mm.
There's stuff that we have no idea,
Yeah.
and we are screwing up because the nutrient profiles are incomplete.
Yeah.
Everybody's formulating to the nutrient profiles.
Yep.
They're not doing feeding trials anymore because you don't have to, and it's a real mess. It's not gonna be straightened out in my lifetime, certainly, and it's gonna take a lot of pressure, and, I'll tell you, my compatriot, Molly Morissette from Poison Pets and we are setting up a nonprofit. It's going to be called the Pet Sustainability Project,
That sounds
and
good.
we are going to try and thread the needle between cats need meat. Meat is not the most environmentally friendly food, although it is not as bad as everybody says. If there were no livestock, this planet would die.
Huh. That seems weird, but okay.
Well, what do you think they fertilize the plants with
Well,
that are
it's not
growing the
necessarily livestock, but
food?
animals. We need animals. It could be wild animals,
We need ruminants. Let's be specific. We need ruminants.
ruminants.
Yeah.
Well, we have and had wild
I mean, we
ruminants.
had millions of bison
Yeah.
that kept the prairies healthy.
There you go. That
We
was
have this,
natural.
yes. I mean, and this, everything worked back then,
Yeah.
and our pets have not evolved from that. We've only changed their diet in the last 100 years. Humans have only changed in the last 12,000 years. Our systems have not, our bodies have not adapted to that. So that's why a lot of people get type 2 diabetes because we are having the same problem cats do.
Mm-hmm.
We're not adapted to that many carbs.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's screwing our insulin
Hey,
metabolism.
I have a
And
question
that's
about
a
so
big
you have
problem.
this new pet sustainable. Tell me about
It's
this.
gonna be the Pet Sustainability Project.
But tell me how that will look, and can people help that cause in any way? Is it a
Well,
nonprofit?
it's right now it's just an idea and a Weibo website or something. It's like in I think it's in Squarespace. It's not even live. The website isn't even live, but
Yeah, and I mean, I think
we
lots
have a
of
lot
people
of material to go up there
mm,
as soon as I can,
get the time.
you know.
Well, and you're
It's
traveling.
it's on my list of things to do.
That would be the big long list.
Yeah, but, I put a pretty good sustainability section in what cats should eat.
Okay.
These are the proteins that would be better.
That's good
Chickens are
to know
better
too
than
for
beef.
people.
Insect proteins may be really
I know.
up and coming. I mean,
I
what cat does not eat a moth or a cricket? I mean, that's a totally natural diet for them.
why
Turns out
not? It's better than what's
crickets,
going on right now, I'll tell
yeah.
you. That's
Turns out
great.
crickets are low in taurine, but so
Yeah, I
you
mean, we
can't
might have
just
to
eat
supplement.
crickets,
Like,
but
low in taurine. And
no,
mealworms, they're probably not.
you'd be
I don't know
nice.
if mealworms have taurine.
Some of them do.
Okay. I was
Some
gonna
do.
say they
Some
have
of the
muscle, and they move around. I don't know.
Yeah, but what the insects are the larvae, the grubs of, flies and
Oh, that's
crickets and
right,
things.
right.
It's the
Okay.
larvae because they're big and they're more
Yeah,
nutritionally packed because they're
yeah.
growing. So
See,
I
maybe
think
those are the
lab-grown
foods of the
meat,
future, you know? Maybe those are the
yeah,
foods of the
I think
future.
lab-grown meat is gonna be great when
Mhm.
if they get it right. I mean, there's a lot of ways it can go wrong,
Uh,
but,
funny, I'm a
we
vegan, but I can't eat any of the lab
yeah.
substitutes. They make me sick. But anyway.
And right, and, regenerative agriculture, I think we are gonna have to move towards that. It's just
Mhm.
gonna take time. So what do we feed our cats now? So I've got a section that says, "Here are the better environmental choices
Yeah, I love
that
the way
will
you broke it
satisfy
down
your
like that.
cat and be better for the planet," because that is such a huge thing. And the pet food industry is on this sustainability kick, but they're not changing the ingredients. They're changing the packaging. They're changing the
Yeah,
manufacturing. They're
I know.
changing their waste
So
stream,
bad.
but
It's all about what
they're
gets us.
not doing it right. So
Okay.
I am now gonna tell the world how to do it right. That's my That's my new
Well,
job.
that'd be great. I mean, I wonder if we could have another one of these where we're actually kind of in the kitchen together. I'm shouting out ideas, but like, I mean, because
Well,
I
you
know a
could be in
lot.
the kitchen and I'll be zooming over your shoulder and saying, "Do this, do that."
Oh, it'll be like Ratatouille, like you tell me what to
Yeah.
do.
Oh, you know what? Next time I'm in well, you're gonna be in California.
Yeah,
Next
we
time
can
I'm
get
in
together.
California,
Okay, okay,
which
there
will
you go.
probably my goal is to be in California by Friday.
Oh, well,
But I'll be way down in the
until
Mojave. I'll be in
February.
the Mojave. But I travel.
Yeah.
I can come to
We'll
you and
we'll
we
we'll
can have
figure
a
it out. It'd
party.
be great if we could do
Oh,
one of
let's do
these
that.
in the kitchen. What a special thing to have Dr. Jean in the kitchen with me. I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm so lucky."
Well, because I can explain why we need this and why we
Yeah.
need that and
No, that'll
how,
be great.
I think we
That's a
should do
great
that. So,
idea.
okay, I'm gonna put you in my travel plans for next summer.
Please do. Well,
Yeah.
if for people listening to this, if they have any questions, comments, I mean, I'm going to have comments turned on, and I'll go ahead and forward those to you, or we'll answer them together. But
Yeah.
is there any other like kind of words of wisdom you want to leave people with? Anything that you're thinking? Like, is there any toppers that you think you could add to a kibble? Like, say you have a cat that's a kibbleaholic. Kibbleaholic is what I
Get them off.
okay,
Dry
and
food is
and you can do it slow, but
ixnay always.
okay,
There
you
is
can do it
no dry
slow, like
food.
one kibble out. This is the ones that I've seen most successful. One kibble
Here's let me tell you how bad kibble is. I
out.
had a diabetic cat and we changed her diet and mom was giving her 8 kibbles a day, 4 with each insulin shot. We could not get her regulated with
Wow.
8 kibbles a day. We finally got rid of the kibbles, regulated, boom, like that.
When now was she
That's
regulated on insulin or
she was an insulin she probably had most cats are type 2, but there are some that convert to type 1 or their diabetes originates from pancreatitis and their pancreas is just shot and they are type 1. This
Mhm.
cat was a type 1, whether, acquired type 1.
So even 8 kibbles?
8 kibbles just
Wow.
wrecked her metabolism.
Okay, well, that's good for people to know.
Yeah. So,
So we really have
I
to get
mean,
them off of it.
and there's
Okay.
a large section in my ebook about how to switch.
Yeah. No, I love that section, and
Yeah.
I love the
Yeah.
way in your book you rate all the different foods. I love
Yeah.
that. You're really
Yeah.
honest
I
and
mean, I had my cat Spirit, who lived to be 20 and a half. Let me say for all those paranoid people, she ate Vaseline every single day. She loved it. So for people who are afraid to give their constipated cats Vaseline, I just wrote an article,
oh,
put it on my
wow.
web.
Okay.
Inert in the body can't digest it. It stays in the GI tract, which is technically, as we know, outside the body. It greases things up, slides the poo out.
Wow.
It's really,
I
really
mean,
safe. So, but
okay.
she was the most stubborn cat, and I have worked with tens of thousands of cats. She was the worst. I started feeding my 2 cats raw food. Chinook went right for it. Man, she was on it. She would loved it. So, and so they had 2 bowls. They had their canned food, and then they had their raw. And it was 3 years before I saw Spirit take a bite of the raw food.
Wow. You were
That's
so
how
stubborn.
that's how stubborn a cat can be. 3 years before I got her converted.
Wow.
So,
But you were
you
smart
know,
because you had the
so
canned food there, so there was less likelihood of going into hepatic
well,
lipidosis.
she was not gonna starve, but
Mhm.
she was not gonna eat the raw frickin'
So
years.
then when she was on the raw, were you able to get her off the Vaseline?
No, she loved it. It was a treat.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
It was her favorite treat.
We use
I
all
could
kinds
not
of
go to bed without giving her Vaseline. That was
okay,
the
that's
rule.
hilarious and very funny
Yeah,
coming from a holistic
yeah. So it doesn't sound holistic. I use it as chapstick a
a
fair
lot of
bit.
our pharmaceuticals come from the oil industry. There's a lot of
Yep,
petroleum, and that kind of drove early
yeah.
pharmaceuticals, and I
But
think
the
people
beauty of it is it inert and it never leaves the GI tract. So it's never absorbed. It's never, it's a
we're
it's
s and we're
it's a
you use
larger carbon string than what the body can break down.
okay, and you used it for constipation, I'm
I
assuming?
use it for constipation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah. Because you can give oils for constipation, but they all get digested and they're absorbed before anything gets to the colon. And where's the problem? In the colon.
help that.
Vaseline stays with it all the way to the back door, escorts it out, goes
Well,
with it.
that's a poor
We're done.
man's way of doing it, I suppose, that's good.
It's, when you have a really, really, really severely chronically constipated cat, just
Yeah.
Just use it.
I
It's
mean, that's like gonna be
fine.
better than megacolon surgery, you know?
Yeah, yeah, or
So there you go.
euthanasia, which is what happens, these cats are so miserable, they
Mhm,
can't survive,
mhm.
you y
That's awesome.
it's just so, I address all of this in my book, so and my website, Little Big Cat there's like 300 articles on that website, just
Wow, I love
search
that.
constipation, search conjunctivitis, search anything you want, there'll be something
That'll
there.
really help the cat people.
Yeah.
That is great. Well, gosh, is there anything else you wanna kinda end with? Because boy, this has been amazing. A lot of information.
Yeah, well, we probably have a lot more to talk about than just
Yeah,
here.
maybe we'll do a part 2 is all. But
Yeah.
I love just introducing people to these concepts because I've never heard half of the stuff. I mean, it's really
Yeah,
and,
and
I'm
I've been so deep in it for 30 years.
yeah,
I started researching, like, the day after I graduated vet school.
I know, I did
I
too.
was at the University of Colorado Medical Library looking this stuff up.
Wow, and back then it wasn't as easy. Now we have the internet.
No, I had to Xerox all these giant books to get these articles. Whoever's the lucky winner who gets a link to my drive where all this information is, they're gonna be completely overwhelmed.
I It
But
sounds overwhelming
But
for most
I
of
want to share the information. That's
yeah,
my goal at this
that's
point is
great,
just to
Jean.
get it
Thank
out there
you.
as fast as I can.
Yeah, no, that's great. And, yeah, we got to get you to start a podcast. I mean, I think as many of us that have podcasts should share with each other and
I'll
go
talk
back
to
and
you.
forth.
This is too much trouble for me. I'm a
It is
better
a lot of
writer.
trouble. I mean, I'm not complaining, but hey.
Yeah. But I'm a writer at heart.
Yeah.
And I do love to talk and I love to teach.
I
Even before I went to veterinary school, I knew that teaching was really my path. They
awesome.
call it the teacher healer path.
Yeah.
And
Hey, what
that's
about
what
you
I do.
speaking at the next AHVMA meeting or something like that? Or is that something
I
issue
I
or
should submit
'cause
a
you do meet young I was at the AHVMA in West Palm Beach just a few months ago, and you do meet a lot of the younger holistic
Yeah,
vets
and
coming.
I have spoken at AAFCO
I
before.
know you have, yeah, it's just so
So and I should next time when they put out a call for papers, I promise I will submit.
that's
I will
okay. I can give you all kinds of fun things to do every single day.
I have a long list of
I
fun things to
I know
do.
you already have your list. Well,
I
thank you
do.
so much, Jean, and I just want to thank you so much for spending this hour with us and giving us all these little tidbits. It's been so valuable. Like again, people won't hear this stuff from the regular veterinarian, and it's just a
No, and you're not gonna hear it anywhere because I have experience that nobody else has,
yeah,
and I've been so embedded in the industry, and I know what these people talk about over a beer.
it's
Although
amazing.
some of the, suppliers there,
I do have
they
a quick question.
they
How
drink
many
fancier things than beer, but
how many women are on that committee versus men?
it's still mostly men, but there are a lot of women involved now.
Okay, I was just curious. Quick
Yeah.
extra question. All right. Well, thank
But
you so much.
it's the agriculture industry, and it's just not a women-heavy industry, but they don't discriminate, and they listen to the women, and we're all friends,
Yeah, they
friends
don't
with
sound.
these guys. I mean, I see them, I give them a hug, it's like, I'm so happy to see them.
Aw, they sound nice, actually.
It's a
Hmm.
wonderful group, and they're doing the best they can. The odds and the influence is just
Hmm.
overwhelming. So,
Crazy. It's a crazy system.
yeah.
Well, anyway, well, if people don't know
Oh,
about it,
look up PFI on my website because I wrote an article because they're trying to push through a federal law that's gonna take regulation away from the states and give it to the pet food industry.
no.
Yeah,
When is
this
that?
is
Is there
it's
that
called the PURR Act, PURR.
was,
I don't even it upsets me so much I don't even like to think about it, but
yeah, but people need to know about it.
the article on littlebigcat.com.
Mhm.
I talk about it in my newsletter. It's not gonna move for a long time, but this is their long-term goal is to put the fox in charge of the hen house.
Crazy.
That's what
We
they
do
want.
not need that, and we do not. I don't even
That
want
has
them.
not worked really well for any other industry, so,
Right. What do you
Mm.
know? Yeah. Anyway, well,
Yeah, put the
that's
people
great
who want the
information
money in
too.
charge of the money.
Yeah. It's a huge amount of money too, multi-billion dollar. Yeah.
Billion, 15 or $20 billion a year. Yeah,
It's
it's
we're talking money.
a lot of
Yeah,
bones. Like,
exactly. Well, great. Well,
yeah,
thank you so much, Dr. Jean, and we'll probably do part 2, and if anyone has any questions, please put them in the comments. Thank you
yeah,
so much for spending
sure.
your hour with us.
Thank you. Namaste. Be well.